Hello, it's Noir Nerd, and I wanted to do a Console.log vlog today about education. And do you need to have an education in computer science to become a developer? This is a common question that comes up in many different forms. A lot, really, in the dev space is: do you need to go to university or college if you're in America to become a developer? Is it important? How important is it? So I'm going to go into this topic and just try and explore it from my own personal perspective of being a developer. So I actually did go to college. I studied at college and university. I studied BTech and IT and a applied computing degree. An applied computing degree was very much focused on practical IT skills, like basically skills to get your job. Is the idea of it. So, from my personal perspective, it was useful for me to set a grounding as a foundation for something, but I wouldn't say that it's necessarily required. I wouldn't say it's necessarily 100% a requirement to study computer science to be a developer. I think that should be clear. I mean, you'll see common examples of obviously Steve Jobs and Mark Zuckerberg were college dropouts in one way or another, and they're very successful. Steve Jobs is a bad example because he's not really a programmer, but you get what I mean. There's that sort of trope in popular culture that college dropouts can do very well, which can be true. I'm not going to deny that. I'd say for myself that it did help a bit getting that grounding in university. What I studied in the university is very different from what you study today. Primary programming language we learned was Java. It wasn't really JavaScript. We learned a bit of JavaScript, but not a great deal. We learned HTML, CSS, obviously, of course. So I think it's a difficult question, actually. I think if you are thinking of, it depends what you want to do. I think if you want to be something like maybe a data scientist, maybe it's useful. Or basically what I'm saying is it's useful. It's useful definitely to go to university and college, but not a requirement, I don't think. Where to go from here? So, if you, I guess, really, there's so many free resources out there, like Code Academy. Udemy's not free, but you can basically get stuff for more or less free. I'd say, 90% of dev jobs, what they really care about is your code. You've got demonstrable projects that you can show that you've done, which demonstrate a knowledge of your area. So I think if you have that, that's more or less the starting point. Obviously, you could really, if you want to be a quote-unquote computer scientist, then it probably will help to go into university if you want to go into more academic areas of computer science, I suppose. Again, not necessarily a requirement. You can still do interesting work and not have gone to university. It's just a fact. You can still. It's easier than ever to self-study at the minute. So I think if you want to go that route, then absolutely go for it. I guess one of the important things with that, if you do want to go that self-directed route of learning to be a developer or a programmer, is you probably need a stable income of some sort. So you need some sort of way to sustain yourself through those. Because even if it's a self-directed study, you need the ability to be able to sustain your experimentation and your work. So I'd say before you dive into anything like committing to if you want to become an entrepreneur, for example, and that's very good. But also, you probably might need a day job, I suppose, at first to have that like disposable income that you can just pump into living, to staying alive. But I mean, essentially, if you are a good enough programmer, if you are good enough at programming, you can start. You could probably you want to be an entrepreneur or some sort of freelancer first. You could probably start off by learning like things like Bootstrap, basics of HTML layout and design. That can get you a little bit somewhere if you learn those skills. Even WordPress development, that can be, if you get good at it, that can be quite lucrative in some respects. So if you wanted to start off just freelancing, that might be a good thing to do. Just learn those basic skills and apply them to like real world projects, I guess. If you wanted to do something more like machine learning, and that's obviously involved a lot of mathematics, that's probably where it is useful in some respects to get a formal education, I guess. I don't know anything about machine learning and hold my hand up, apart from knowing that it's mostly done with Python. It's not my area. But I'd say if you wanted to learn about machine learning, then you probably would have to go to university to study that at a decent level, I think. In terms of maths, like learning about the maths, I mean, if you have I'll hold my hand up. Like my mathematics is pretty basic. Like I never think I revealed this on this channel before, but I used to even have special lessons for my maths when I was younger. When I was very young, like I was 10 or something. But I used to really struggle with maths. I struggled with it a lot. I've got over those hurdles and I can work out the basics, but most of programming, it comes down to implementation. Is how do you implement something and how do you come up with those sort of original ideas to, not necessarily always original. I mean, everybody goes to Stack Overflow now and again. That's a admittance, to be fair. Like, everybody, not everyone could be 100% original all the time. It's just not realistic. But getting off track a bit, mathematics. If you want to learn about the mathematics you'll need in computer science, and obviously an education helps in some respect for that. But I mean, how often do I use like relational algebra that I used that I learned at university? Apart from the fundamental concepts and like learning about how logic works and how logic functions, I don't really use it a great deal. And if you already understand logic on some level and how, whether it be a truth table or Venn diagram or whatever, there's just shitty examples maybe, but you know what I mean. Like if you can grasp concepts of logic, then and it's not really that involved really in the type of logic you'll be implementing in your programming usually. I mean, there might be cases where you have to do something that's a bit abstract or is unfamiliar, but those cases are few and further than you'd expect. Really, a lot of libraries abstract away that need for. Not that you want to over rely on libraries as well, but they do exist for a reason. I mean, you can use them. It's fine. So yeah, if you have this dilemma with thinking about, do I need to go to university to become a good programmer? Oh no, is the short answer to that. You'll see a lot of people on YouTube as well who are self-taught programmers, and they're fucking brilliant. Like, they're really, really good. They're top of their game, and they taught themselves. You don't necessarily need to go to university to get that grounding. It will help in some respects. Like I said, they'll give you the foundations, but it's not. I wouldn't say it's a requirement per se. So yeah, I think that's all I'm going to do for this vlog. Just talking about, do you need an education to become a programmer? Do you need like a formal education background? How important it is? I'd say if you can do it without getting too much debt, then it could be worth it. But if you just want to become a web developer doing like front end stuff or even back end, if you can learn all that, then go for it. I mean, get some freelancing potentially on the side if you need to support yourself, and Bob's your uncle, you can do it. So I'll leave this vlog at that. I think it's been a Console.log vlog about what you need to, the importance of education becoming a developer. I hope it's been useful or informative in some respect. I'm a noir nerd in the dark, and very much in the dark at the minute, very noir. And if you like the video, like and subscribe, all that jibber jabber. That's all. Thank you. Bye.